Now, to do ordinal numbers in French, we're going to actually just apply a suffix. And I'll give you that suffix in just a minute. Now, typically you take the normal number and you apply the suffix. But that's the rule. But you know what I'm about to say, right? We have a rule and we have rule breakers every single time. We have troublemakers in every language. We have rules and we have troublemaker rule breakers. So we have a few exceptions to the rule here when we're talking about the suffix that we add, but it's really no big deal. I want to give you some concrete examples of how to do this. Now, let's take the number first. It's kind of its own entity. This number in French, it kind of stands alone. It does its own thing, but this is what it looks like in French. There are two versions. The first one is premier, and the other is première. Premier and première. Now, the first one, premier, is the masculine form. So if I were going to say the first something that's masculine, then I would use premier. So like I said, oh, it's the first notebook over there. Talking about that first one, le cahier, that would be something masculine, that'd be premier. Now, the second one is used for feminine nouns. So if I said, I live in the first house on the left, house, la maison, is feminine. So I would say première, the first house. I would use that for the feminine form. All right. Now that we can see how first works, let's talk about that suffix I mentioned a while ago. Here's the suffix that we use. It is yem, yem. I-E-M-E with an accent on that E. Okay, now there are a few exceptions, but I think it's best for me just to go through and talk about those exceptions as they come up, okay? All right, let's look at second. Second is what I was talking about a while ago. You take the normal number and you put the suffix on it. So two, the second, two is actually de, as you know. The second would be deuxième, deuxième. Okay, so notice what we've taken the number two, D-E-U-X, and we've just put yem on there. Not hard. Okay, we can apply that same pattern for third, which would be troisième, troisième. All right, now, watch what happens with fourth. We know that the number 4 is quatre, and it ends with an E. Here's the thing. When the number ends with an E, like quatre, we're going to actually take away that last E at the end, and we're going to add iem at that point. So this is what fourth would look like. Quatrième, quatrième. So notice that we took out that E that would normally be there after that R, quatre, and we've put yem on it, okay? Now, fifth is one of those exceptions as well. Now, with fifth, we're going to actually add a U after it. Cinquième, cinquième. So we've added a U right there. All right, no big deal. It's almost like, we're used to putting that U in there with 50 or something, so cinquante. So just kind of remember that U. All right, now sixth is going to follow the pattern. Sixième, we've got six, and we have iem, we've just tacked on. Seventh is going to do the same thing. It's going to follow the pattern. So septième, septième. Eighth will also follow the pattern. Huitième, huitième. And ninth is going to be an exception. It's going to have a slight little change. Watch this. It's going to be neuvième, neuvième. And you're probably already looking going, oh, I see what we did. We changed the F at the end to a V, neuvième. We do kind of the same thing in English sometimes, don't we? We say elf, and then we say elves. We change it to a V. All right. Now, 10th is going to follow the pattern. So no problem there. Dixième, dixième. All right. Now, I want to talk about some of the numbers above 10, where they are going to follow the pattern, okay? But I do want to give you some specific examples though, because we can say, okay, yeah, I'm going to apply the pattern, but sometimes it still helps us to just see it in front of us and know for sure how it goes. So 20th is actually going to be vingtième, vingtième. But now watch what happens if we turn it into 80th. We know that 80th is 80, 420s. Okay, we're kind of adding it up really quick. But the word 80th is going to be this: 80e, 80e. So we're saying 4/20th. We're only really putting the yem on the last part here. Okay, so leave the first part the same. All right, let's look at 200th. The 200th. It's hard to say. All right, de centième. De centième. Now, centième is the 100th, so you're saying 200th. Notice the yem is only applied to the last part, not to the first word. We have two words there. All right, now I want to give you some examples in between, just kind of some random examples. Let's look at 46th. 46th. Now, this would be 46e, 46th. I don't know, that's not a good way to put it in English, but that's kind of what we're saying. We're only putting the em at the last part, okay? 46e. Now let's look at 59th, okay? So we're going to say 59e. We're just going to apply that to the last part, 59e. Now think about 61st. What do you think 61st might be? You're going, wait a minute. Now first was premier, right? Or première. Well, once we get up into those higher numbers, okay, you got to do something a little different. This is an exception. So remember that premier and première is only to first. But when we put it with something else like 61st, we're going to actually use a different word. We're going to apply the pattern to the number one, the normal pattern. So 61st would look like this: 61e, 61e. Okay. Now remember back a long time ago when we did numbers, when we'd say like 31, 41, we put the word in there, and then the other times we wouldn't, like 32, 46, whatever. We're going to do the same thing. 61st, the 71st, the 81st, we're going to use but all the other ones we don't. So 62nd would not have 63rd would not have etc. So 60, and 1 with the normal pattern. Unième. That's how we do 61st. So remember that with the 31st, 41st, 51st, 71st, all that, we're using unième, not premier or première. Hope that's not too confusing. Okay. 89th. Let's look at 89th. Okay. Here we're going to say 89e. 89e. 4 20s. Okay. That's making up the 80 part. And then 9e, 9th. So you're probably noticing that if you're looking at the actual number form, we're only really putting the ordinal suffix on the right number over there. The first number on the left is not getting any treatment other than normal treatment, normal numbers. All right. Now, I want to give you one more, and that is 100th. 100th is centième. Centième. We talked a little bit about 200th a while ago, but 100th by itself is just simply centième. And my friends, mes amis, that wraps up our review of ordinal numbers. Hey, be sure to go on Facebook and join the Language Tutor French Facebook page, and join our little community of French learners. Love to see you there. Be sure to answer those membership questions though, so we'll know that you're legitimate and really want to be there. So we'll try to keep out the spammers and the scammers and the hackers and all that. So answer those questions for us if you would. And also visit the Language Tutor Teespring shop. Pick up a mug or a hoodie or a t-shirt. Help us out and support our lessons here in our channel. We appreciate it. And tell all your friends to subscribe and click that notification bell. Well, my friends, I'll see you soon. I wish for you paix et bénédiction, peace and blessings. I'll see you soon. Au revoir. Friends, thanks for watching The Language Tutor. If you have a question for me, feel free to leave it in the comment section below the video. And please click subscribe and the notification bell so that you'll never miss any of our language lessons.